SongBird Survival are a charity that are completely dedicated to reversing the decline in songbirds in the UK. We've lost half of the songbirds in the last 2 generations, so in 50 years, which is an absolute tragedy for biodiversity, for nature as a whole, and for us as humans. You can see today we're sitting in these beautiful surroundings of the Vauxhall City Farm, which provides an oasis for the people that are lucky enough to live here and realise the joy that you can get from songbirds. And what we do as a charity is all about trying to make sure that there's a voice for those birds. We can do research to find out the causes of them, and ultimately be the voice for those vulnerable little birds and make sure they've got a future.
SongBird Survival is different from all other charities because we concentrate just on songbirds, but not just songbirds as passerines. It's all the species of sort of small bird which face the same problems that songbirds do. Things like the cuckoo and the turtle dove, all of those species that are doing really, really badly. We want to look after all of those because the problems that we will hopefully fix looking after the songbirds will also help those other species too.
George, welcome to Vauxhall City Farm. We are London's oldest city farm. 45 years this year we've been here. We do an enormous amount of work in the community, but let me show you around and we can talk about it. Okay?
Thank you.
One of my favourite spots in the farm.
It's gorgeous.
It's one of the most colourful spots in the farm as well. That's why I really enjoy it. The reason I mention colour is because we're talking about birds, but for animals colour is so important.
Colour is so important. It's one of the things that we were talking about was how to get birds to come to a feeder.
Feeders, that's
so
right.
So you can have a colourful feeder and they'll see it. Or how to get your cat not to catch birds is put a colourful collar on it so the birds can see the cat.
And we're talking about connection with the birds and with wildlife. By having that feeder there and really taking a good look at what you're feeding them and what they're eating, you can understand the intricacies and the differences between species.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's something that people don't really realise. But 5 minutes in from finding out about birds, they realise, there's a lot more to this actually.
The vision of songbirds is, in a nutshell, to restore the population of songbirds in the UK back to the levels that we enjoyed in the 1970s. And what that really means is having a balanced and resilient population of all the different species of birds. Some of them are suffering absolutely sort of disastrously. If you, in this area in London, the house sparrow is down by 67%. We used to all see them as we sort of walked along the roads to school or in our gardens. They're just not there anymore. The missel thrush, the starling equally are having a terrible time in this area, and that's just 3 examples, and this goes on and on and on all across the country, in urban areas, in the countryside, and it's something that we absolutely are passionate about changing, and we have to do this. That's our mission and vision as a charity.
We're very, very lucky that we get to do this all the time.
Yeah.
So other people need to come to somewhere like this or head out into the countryside or just find that little bit in the park.
Yep, absolutely.
Because there are beautiful spots all over the place.
I think there's this impression that you have to go to a big wood or forest to see everything, when really you just need to look out your window.
People could do it on balconies.
Yeah, even just looking out your window and just seeing a pigeon or a sparrow. I mean, we've just spoken about how much we love sparrows, but that's so important, you know, and it's just, people have realised that, I think, during the pandemic. They've just realised that being connected to nature, being centred, is super, super important, because it just makes you realise of what you're a part of.
Yeah, and then you did manage to show me the view out of your window.
Yeah, I've got slightly larger animals. I've got goats and alpacas and things like that. Speaking of other animals, do you want to see some?
Yeah.
This is a perfect setting to talk about exactly how we like to connect city to the urban, to the rural living and, you know, farm. You know, we are a city farm and we could not be a better example of it. A lot of people, they're born in the city, live in the city, and they don't have any touch points with any wildlife, let alone animals that are kept domestically. So it's really important to show them where the lines blur, where the chicken that you have, there's literally a chicken shop just there, where that chicken, that's the same as the chicken that you see a little bit further down. And that extends not just from domestic animals, but also to wild animals.
Yeah.
You know, if we can inspire someone to become an ecologist, become an ornithologist, a marine biologist.
We need people who are passionate about their thing, about bees or bugs
bees
or beetles or trees or shrubs, or whatever their thing is. We need people with that sort of passion so that we can understand those things better. So the research we're currently funding is into pesticides with Dave Goulson at the University of Sussex and his team, Praisha and Cannell. They are looking at the pesticides that get into the food chain of the songbirds and also of their prey, which is the insects, and to find out whether the long-term effect of building up in their bodies is affecting them, or if their reduced food sources of the insects because of the pesticide use is affecting their well-being.
The other thing I'd say that's really sort of different and about us is that we're a small charity, which means that we're really agile and flexible and able to really look at things in a way that other charities can't. So our members and supporters have a real voice for change. We listen to them. We've recently done a survey with them where they've been talking about which are the things that they believe are the biggest issues for songbirds, and that will help us when we're developing our future research strategy.
Our members really love the fact that SongBird Survival, being small and being their charity, is their voice for songbirds. And that was very clear to us last year when we asked them, and they said, please don't go away, you are our only voice for songbirds in the UK. They like the fact that they can phone up and speak to George, the mad bird lady, and tell them their problems and find out some sensible solutions that they can do in their garden or on their patch that I can help them with. Because I've learned from all the different research that we've done and research that other people have done that we bring on board to really be able to help people on the ground and make them understand their small birds and how they can help them better.
So we're incredibly lucky because our supporters are extremely loyal and very sort of committed to supporting us, which is fabulous because we couldn't exist and do the work without them. But they also, we have a real sort of two-way relationship with them, so they'll ring up and ask for advice because some people just are passionate about birds but don't have a great knowledge, so we help them with that. Others are incredibly knowledgeable, so we get information from them about the issues we should be looking at as well. So it's fabulous. It's a community of bird lovers all working together.
So at SongBird Survival, people phone up on a regular basis with all sorts of different queries and fascinating stories. We have a certain gentleman, a supporter, who lives in Portland, and he phones us a couple of times a week during the migration season to let us know which birds he's spotted coming through and when we can expect to see them further north. He phoned us last week all excited because he had black redstarts in the garden, and then during the winter he'll phone us to tell us how many goldfinches he's feeding or if he's seen a song thrush. He's a delight. You know, we had a lady the other day, she'd found a baby bird, didn't know what to do with it. She'd followed the advice on our website and she'd looked for the nest everywhere, she couldn't find anything, and she really did not know what to do with this small bird. She had cats and she was afraid that her cats were going to get it if she left it alone, and I was able to put her in contact with a local animal hospital who were able to help her and take the bird, and hopefully, fingers crossed, that bird's now fledged.
But they love coming in here, the starlings, the blue tits. We've got house sparrows that seem to migrate between the community garden and these trees, especially now that they've all populated with all the leaves and everything, so that's really amazing. But it's something that we're really trying to reconnect people with here on the farm, trying to pack as much bird watching activity as we possibly can. We have a local school that send about 5 to 10 children twice a week, and they come here and you can just see all of the anxiety, all the worry, all the stress of exams and COVID and all that just washes away, and they start learning organically. One thing that we saw through the pandemic is start offering things online, things that people can do in their own homes. Bird ranges that we created together, perfect example. Just, we'll send you the binoculars, we'll send you the pictures of all the animals, you just have to look out your window.
It's all of your health.
Yeah.
It's from your immune system through to your mental health, the whole lot. The whole package is so important, and getting out there in nature, whether it's seeing the pigeon on next door's rooftop or coming and seeing one of these beautiful guys here.
So if you just come over here, we have got birds, or bantam. So we've got one bantam in here, chickens of course, one bantam who's a real egg layer called Fluffy, and then we've got this myriad of singing Polish chickens. They're bred for showing, so that's why they've got these amazing headdresses, these hairdos, and do you know what? The kids love the chickens. They come on the farm, you think they're going to love the alpacas, they're going to love the goats, what have you. At the end of the day, you say, what was your favourite animal? They always say the chickens.
But the nice thing about chickens is they've got so much character.
So much character, too much sometimes.
And they're intelligent, they're funny, they peck at each other and they look at each other.
Peck at you.
So SongBird Survival's top tips for nature.
There are loads of ways that you can really help the gardens in your garden and help the birds to survive, and we really want to share some of our top tips with you. George,
So first of all, feeding. Feeding is the easy one that everyone can do. Is put a feeder out, stick some mixed seed in it, you'll probably see something coming to eat that. There's lots and lots of other seeds, there's different types of feeder, different types of seeds, different birds like different things, but just having the food there is really important. That supplementary feeding, especially in winter, will really help the birds.
Another thing you can do is make sure that your garden is really generally wildlife friendly. So think about what you can do, what you can plant that will encourage insects in, encourage bees in. It all gets that much sort of richer diversity within your garden, and that will also help the birds. They'll have something to eat on and they'll be attracted to the garden.
And then putting up an nest box. If you've got somewhere that you can put a nest box up for the birds, then that means that the food that you've put out in the both the feeders and in the wild foods, such as the bees and bugs that come to the flowers, that's the things that the birds need to feed their babies, that their nest box is going to be there for. So that's the next thing you want to try and do.
Another thing that we know really worries a lot of people are the impact of local cats, domestic cats. It might be your own cats, it might be your neighbours, but what you can really do is you can help at this time of year in spring that we've got today. It's the time when you've got the birds nesting and the fledglings. So at this time, really try and encourage people to keep their cats in, particularly overnight. That can really help. And also, you can actually, a lot of people don't know, but you can actually reduce the hunting nature of birds by what you do with them, if you feed them a protein-rich diet. And we've got lots of information on the website on what to do, but you can actually encourage cats to stop hunting and reduce their hunting, which can make a massive, massive difference.
Putting the food out is absolutely essential, especially for winter, but also essential to stop spreading disease is to keep your bird feeders clean and your water clean. So if you can, try and get that water cleaned out daily and scrub it out, put fresh water out every time. As soon as the seed is gone, don't put too much out at a time because it'll rot. So you need to get that seed out of there, give it a good scrub, just some fresh hot water, and then that will be perfect for putting the next lot of seed out, and hopefully you're not going to be spreading any diseases or having any rotten food to make the birds sick.
And my final thing is really just to say, please join us in spreading these messages to as many people as you can. Get the word out, you can help more birds and you'll be able to make such a difference. So, join us in our mission to sort of reverse the decline of songbirds, and you can find out lots more on our website and through our emails and newsletters. So yeah, come and join our community and help us.